Oh yeah. Right, here we go. Hi everyone. It's me, your boy. We back. We're making ribs today. Gonna speed run this first section as always because we've got to get these ribs in the oven ASAP. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me. Blah, blah, blah. So, what I'm doing at the moment is I've got a little pan preheating because what we're about to do, I have some wood smoking chips here. Because we're just making these ribs in the oven. We're not smoking them, but I want to get them a little bit smoky. So I've got these just beechwood smoking chips picked up from Poundland of all places. The only place in the UK I've been able to find like a reliable source of wood chips. Have I got my... No, my headset mic's not muted. Cool. Anyway, hi everyone. So the only place I've been able to find decent wood chips that's not like 15 quid in the UK, Poundland. So here we go. So I got pan on the stove. This is already really hot. This is mildly irresponsible and might set off my smoke alarm, so let's not do that. All I'm going to do... I got the oven preheating, by the way. The oven's already nice and hot. Ribs are in the fridge. I can really take those out and get them prepped super quick. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to chuck a little handful, just a little baby handful of these wood smoking chips in the already hot pan. And we want to almost toast these in the dry pan. Give that a little shake. It's annoying cooking with gas and setting my oven gloves on fire. Just give that a little... Just grab this with my other hand. We're here on oh shit, burner cam. See, I'm not used to having gas. I've only ever used gas in like commercial kitchens. So, in a couple minutes, you're going to start to get little wisps of smoke coming out of that, which will be let you know. So once they're smouldering, we place those inside the tray, which I'm trying to locate. Here we go. Inside our oven tray and wrap the whole shebang up with foil. So, where did I put my damn wire rack? So, my method for ribs, like ribs are one of the greatest foods ever made. They're delicious, but they take so damn long to cook. That's the thing. And it's winter. I live in England. I'm not going to be outside. I've got like a wood-burning pizza oven I can use to smoke meat in if I want. I'm not going to be sitting there doing that all day, bruh. And I've seen so many recipes for oven ribs, and I've made them hundreds of times over the years, and I've got it wrong, and everyone gets it wrong so many times, and you end up with these just blitzed, overcooked ribs that suck, where they have no texture, they're just mushy, or they're over-rubbed and over-sauced, and they start to burn because your oven's way too sensitive when it comes to heat to try and get them at a low and even temperature. So, just a nice even start. How are my... little wood chips doing? Oh, see, they're already starting to char on the bottom, which is what we want. Just going to give those another little shake. It already smells good. It already smells. Just going to turn the extractor fan on so we don't get any mishaps. Oh, that's the wrong one. See, that already smells good. I can turn the heat down. Once these start to smoke, so I can just bang them in here. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit better today. I've been a bit down the last couple of weeks. Honestly, since the general election in England's happened, I've been a bit down. I've been a bit fatalistic. I feel a bit like whatever we do, the bastards will still win, but whatever. So I'm just getting my ribs unwrapped. So here's what I got. I just got 3 pretty small racks of ribs. These are just from the supermarket. They're nothing fancy. They're nothing expensive. The reason I want for smaller ones is because they will cook quicker. Okay, cool. So this is starting to smoke pretty good now. I can just turn the heat right down. Turn my extractor fan up so we don't get any nastiness. So, what I'm going to do prep-wise with these ribs, these are just like plain. I'm not going to rub them down with a bunch of spices. I'm not going to cover them in barbecue sauce just yet. Because if we do that with this cooking technique, it's all going to burn, it's going to become bitter and acrid, it's going to suck. So, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, just on burner cam, just going to wrap the lid up with a little bit of foil. Just so we don't get any errant smoke coming out for now. Our wood chips are perfectly smoked, so I can just cram some foil over the whole thing and keep it down. That's better. Gas is on very low, so we haven't got to worry about that. So yeah, not going to worry too much about doing anything to these ribs before they go on. I can flip the camera around a little bit now. We're just going to salt these and get them straight in the oven. So just going over with a good pinch of Maldon salt, which is what we want. This is going to help season the meat thoroughly, so it's not going to be bland. It's also going to help draw out moisture, so I'm just going to take this rack, push that salt in, this big old rack, just place it on my lined baking sheet, just with a wire rack. This will keep the ribs off the if it's sitting on the bottom of the tray, all of the fat and juices that render out, it's just going to swim in them, and they're not going to they're going to end up being soggy and not kind of crisping up right. So just going to take these, just bang them on. Doesn't matter if they're too close together at this point. We can spread them out later after they've shrunken down a little bit. So just going to place these out, give them a bit of a stretch, get rid of all this junk. So traditionally you would cook ribs at a much lower and slower temperature. But doing it in the oven doesn't really work like that, and also this is like if you want ribs today. I decided this afternoon I wanted to do ribs, so it's like I haven't got time to sit there and spend all day, and there's no point doing a cooking stream. So it's like for 8 hours, what am I doing? Smoking ribs. So this is all it takes. So we're going to put it on higher temperature. We're going to do it on like about 180 degrees Fahrenheit, which seems very high for doing something that you would expect to be low and slow. But the way we're going to cook them means the meat will roast and it will be perfectly tender and it will just break apart, and it will still have like a bit of a mouthfeel to it. Like, I don't like ribs where they're annihilated and they just fall apart and they're mushy and almost liquefied. That sucks, where it's like mashed potato. You want them to have a little bit of bite. So I've got my wood chips are perfectly done now, so I've got my ribs salted and ready to go. Just going to take this off. Ooh, smoky. Good thing I got my door closed to the... This is the only part of making this that's offensive. So, in these go. Just go on at the bottom of the tray. And then as we wrap these up in foil, super quickly. When they stay in the oven, they will stay hot and they will continue to smoke. And what this will do, you're not going to get that big red ring, pink smoke ring that you get when you do them in a smoker, but it will just give them smoky flavour. Hey Tim, how's it going? We just, I can caught the worst of it. I can just get this all out now. We just, so, just super quickly seal this whole bad boy up. So all we've done is just salt these ribs and put the smouldering wood chips in. That's all we've got. Did I say Fahrenheit? I meant to say C. Yeah, so the 170 C, which is correct because Fahrenheit is completely stupid. It's the stupidest of all stupid American measurements. That would be like about 350 Fahrenheit, so that's pretty high. But right, so now that's literally all we need. This is going in the oven. That's the hard part. Pretty much done. So yeah, about 170, 180 degrees centigrade. So they will start cooking. And so what this is going to do, it's going to give the texture of almost like a roast pork or like a roasted meat joint. So they're going to have a little bit of a crust on them, they'll be a little bit crispy on the top, but by cooking them for a good 2 hours, and they're only very small racks of ribs, they will have enough time to kind of steam themselves and cook themselves through, so the meat's going to be super tender and delicious. And then later on we'll start adding things like seasoned rubs and sauce, and it won't burn. You'll get a lovely, perfectly glazed sauce. They're going to be beautifully seasoned, but no burning, no spending 8 hours making them. So, right, let me just check all of the... There's a little bit of smoke in that pan, but it's all good. I can turn the fan on just for a sec. Right, so speed run that bit. That was like less than 10 minutes, less than 5 minutes. I'm pretty proud. Oh, well, I hope everyone's having a good day. Appreciate you joining me. So that's only one element of what we're doing today. Actually, I can use this pan that I've just made. It's only had bits of wood in it. I can give it a little rinse out. Next thing I want to start is some barbecue sauce. Woo! That's spicy meatball. Just rinse it out. Actually, the wood kind of aroma will help the barbecue sauce that we're going to make. So what I want to do today, I'm going to sauce these ribs. You can have ribs that are unsauced and ones that are sauced. I like the ones cooking messaging when we're doing that today, Rusty, bro. I like ones that have sauce on them. I mean, I love dry ribs too, but today we're going to have some ones with sauce on them. I have two options. Firstly, I have the classic Sweet Baby Ray's. One of the only places you can get this in the UK is Morrison's, and I bought like 4 boxes, like four full tubs of it. It's great. So we're going to have one rack's going to have that, and we're going to go up against my own barbecue sauce. So this is kind of a bastardization of like tomato-based Carolina barbecue sauce. So we're just starting out with just simple, humble, basic old ketchup. Just going to whack that in the pan. So I'm making a pretty decent sized batch because it will reduce down. So like, I'm not being accurate with this. I've made this recipe a bunch of times. So you just want big old yeet of ketchup. Just a big old blob. So maybe it's like 4 parts ketchup, and we're going to add to that 1 part of French's yellow mustard. Honestly, all ketchup tastes the same to me, but mustard, oh hell no. You gotta have good mustard, bro. That's the most important thing. There's like nothing worse than bad yellow mustard. You know what? This is slightly inappropriate to say on stream, but I have considered. I'm a pious man. I don't commit crimes, but if I was ever to get into the life of crime, I could probably make drugs. I'm good enough at cooking. I could probably cook drugs. I saw this thing on like, I think it was on Reddit or something, how to make GHB, and it's like the easiest thing ever. And I was like, I could do it. I could low-key do that. The hard part would be the crime part, the selling of the drugs. That's where I would get caught. Anyway, so about 4 parts, something like 4 parts ketch to 1 part mustard. And then I'd say about 2 parts just plain old apple juice. This is not fancy at all. Honestly, like if you try and use things like tomato puree and freshly ground mustard seeds, it's not going to taste like barbecue sauce. It's going to taste like some hoity-toity kind of nonsense. Then add to that, just going to go any kind of mild vinegar. This is rice vinegar, about 1 part of mild rice vinegar, because it's got to be acidic. Apple cider vinegar, anything like that, white wine vinegar, anything like that's fine. As long as it's not like hard ass malt vinegar, you're going to be fine. Right, let's get this bubbling. Let's get a spoon to give that a stir, make it nice and homogeneous. Also, while we're here, I'm going to add probably about 1.5 to 2 parts brown sugar. Again, you want probably more than you would imagine, more than you would expect brown sugar, because barbecue sauce is sweet as hell. Let's give that boy a stirry stir. I'm so looking forward to this. I love making ribs. I've never actually made ribs with Sweet Baby Ray's before. I haven't made ribs in ages. I used to live at my old house in Liverpool. I used to live near a butcher, and they had really good ribs there, but I don't live there anymore, so I had to get them from Asda. That's why they're a bit small and a bit crap, but... oh dear. Sell drugs on tour, they'll never be able to find you. There are many people who do that. I can't speak from experience, but just want to stir this. You will get these little kind of flecks of, if I show it to the camera, you do get these little kind of flecks of mustard where it hasn't all incorporated yet, but that will emulsify as the barbecue sauce cooks down a little bit more, and it will become a bit more red as it continues to cook too. So as that's going, I can just hit that with some black pepper. This is all super quick and easy. This is like the easiest rib recipe you're ever going to see. Even like the wood chip smoking bit I did a minute ago, you can just skip that. You can add liquid smoke, but honestly I don't think it's as good, but it's super easy. Just going to add in about, what? Good 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika. That'll help the smoky flavour of the sauce as well. Just going to go for a big old, about, oh, good 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and the same onion powder. Ooh, I love onion powder. And I would say, other than that, again, this is like, it's all up to interpretation. Like, this is what I love about cooking. I'm just going to add a tiny little sprinkle of mace, which is kind of like a very earthy, kind of like nutmeggy flavour. Just got some of this like liquid seasoning. All this is just MSG. MSG is not bad for you. That's a racist myth. That helps kind of the savouriness of the sauce, and it makes it all kind of delicious. And like the whole anti-MSG thing is honestly 100% rooted in racism. It's complete nonsense. It's just umami. It's because white people food doesn't have umami in it. Right, just carry on stirring this boy. It's going to start bringing up to the boil and start gradually reducing and thickening. That's pretty much it. This makes super delicious barbecue sauce. So it's based on something like the ketchup, which already has spices and seasoning and thickeners and stuff in it. And then you're adding just a little bit more sweetness, a little bit more acidity, kind of a fruity hit from the apple, and then just a few more spices. Well, this shit tastes absolutely delicious, and it tastes homemade, even though it's like 3/4 of it is just made out of pre-made ingredients. So I'm just going to let that boy do his thing. Right, so ribs are in. Barbecue sauce is on the way. I'm pleased we made a lightning quick start to today's stream. Next thing I want to do is start preparing the patates, because we're making fries from scratch today as well. I spent this afternoon just making fries at home and working on getting them how I want them. Let me see. I've got a steel bowl somewhere. Here we go. This is like the only part that's not easy. It's so much easier just to get like frozen chips and just fry them yourself, or go to like anywhere that sells chips and just buy a bag of chips and bring them home. Right, let's give my knife a good old sharpen first, because we're cutting some hearty patates. Just want to go. You all know the drill. Do I look menacing? Well, I hope everyone's having a good day. I appreciate you joining me, being here. Thank you so much. Sorry I haven't been online very much in the last week or so. Oh, that's lovely and sharp. That's what we want, baby. Just cleaning. I go into it every stream, but all I'm doing now is after sharpening your favourite knife, you always just want to go and clean the oxide off it, because you get these little tiny filings on the tip of your blade, and that's never nice. You just want to dry your knife too, because if it's wet, it's going to start oxidizing, and that's going to dull the blade. And then, just so you can tell it's sharp, just take a folded up dry piece of paper and just... Oh man, that's fucking pornographic. Look at that shit. If it slices through that, then you know your knife is sharp as hell, and that's what we want. Sharp knife is safer than a dull knife. I just joined as you were sharpening the knife, sup damn. Yeah, I have to say, after working in kitchens for many years, I'm very good at sharpening knives. My knives are always sharp, because there is nothing worse than trying to cook with a dull-ass knife. Right, just got some potatoes over here. Just going to check my barbecue sauce. Shouldn't have really left the spoon in here. The spoon's not very hot, but whatever. That's coming along nice. Smells really good already. It just smells garlicky and sweet and tangy, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so making fries is pretty straightforward. The only thing is it's just tedious and it's smelly, and working with oil is always dangerous, so there are simplified ways we can do it, and as long as you're careful and patient, it's well worth the result. Homemade fries are awesome. So I'm just bundling up some patates just over here. Got my chopping board. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill this bowl full of cold water. It's really important after you cut potatoes to put them straight into cold water, otherwise they start to get brown. And that's the enemy of what we want. Brown fries are Satan. You want to be lovely and kind of blonde and crispy. So, pretty simple. We're just going to hand cut these. These potatoes are already cleaned, I don't need to wash them. Make like kind of 1 centimetre or so rounds. Just kind of making your way through, and then literally just chop through. The more even you cut, the more even they all cook. Just whack them into the water. I used to have one of those like automatic chip cutting machines. I got it from like Deptford Market for like £4, and the first time I used it, it broke. The handle just snapped. So what I did was I just took the plate. It was like a square knife with like 1 centimetre square holes, and you'd force the potato through it. It would cut your uniform chips. So I just took that and just went over the potatoes, and it cut them perfectly without all the faff of using this silly like plastic unitasker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up a bunch of potatoes, and then I'm just going to only keep the best ones. Like these little kind of ones here, these are just going to end up kind of burned, so these won't really work, but it's all good, just chopping them up as we go anyway. So you want to kind of pick the fattest part of the potato and slice lengthwise down that, so you get these kind of nice big flat rounds. Try and if you can, cut off stuff like these ends. I'm keeping the skin on. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't make a huge difference whether you keep the skin on or not. You can just cut the take the skin of the potato off around the sides and leave it on the top, which gives you that nice kind of like skin on tip. But honestly, I don't mind. I like the texture from getting skin on patates. Oh yeah, you gotta have mustard to have good barbecue sauce, and that's why I've got just plain old yellow mustard in mine today. Nothing too fancy. Yeah, I do like mustardy based barbecue sauces, but this one's more of a tomato based one. So we just started off with ketchup and added a few more things. I mean, you can, like, honestly, like, it's like people who make their own ketchup, there's literally no point. Like, there are some things that you don't need to make them because they're already perfect. Like, you don't need to make your own chicken nuggets because the best ones in the whole world come from McDonald's. You don't need to make your own ketchup because ketchup is perfect how it is. It doesn't need to be done. Oh yeah, I imagine if you're using something like that, if you're prepping a large amount of food, those things are useful. But honestly, I have to say, just as someone who's has a lot of kitchen skills, fastest thing is pretty much always going to be just a trained hand and a knife. I will say though, those really good like mandolin julienne cutters are fantastic if you want like perfect uniform slices of everything, but almost everything, especially like when you're like, I mean, I haven't worked in the kitchen for years, but when you're working in there, I used to, like, it was ridiculous the amount of vegetables I had to prep at almost every job I worked at, so you just burn through it. You get it done so quickly. Just dicing like absolute giant buckets of onions and potatoes and all this kind of stuff. I guess when you involve machines, the only thing that really improves is they get more accurate. But a good eye and a steady hand will make it just as accurate, pretty much. See all these little end bits, some kind of like these kind of little end bits. I'm just going to discard those for now. They're not going to be great. Veggie nuggets are tight. Veggie nuggets you can make your own. Like for example, I can make cauliflower nugs at home, and they're great. I love cauliflower nugs. But the ones you can buy, not so great. At least the ones you can buy frozen. The ones you can get in restaurants are fire. There we go. Just heading up all my patates. Very nice. See, look how... Just by cutting these by hand, like I'm not even paying attention, look how uniform these are. That's just from practice. That's just me showing off, but yeah. Just add a little bit more water so it covers these up. Also, it's important to... I'll do it thoroughly when I've cut all my potatoes, but you want to rinse all the starch off the potatoes. Where the water turns cloudy, that's just excess potato starch, and what that does is that will make your potatoes waxy and sticky and not crisp. So I'm just going to hit a few more of these patates. Just going to top and tail them. Just going to get this kind of edges off. Yeah, I'll take just a sliver more off and I can just discard that. Eyes, the potatoes are fine, I don't care about those. I have to say, knife work is so satisfying. Like, it's a nice kind of repeatable thing. It's nice that I'm not being screamed at while I do this as well. The only person screaming at me is going to be myself. Yeah, getting screamed at is an integral part of working in a kitchen, unfortunately. Alongside not getting breaks and not getting paid. And getting fired a lot. Those are my 4 things I take away from my life of kitchen work. No pay, no breaks, getting screamed at, and getting fired. And you do some cooking. Just a little bit. If I could only eat one thing ever, what would it be? Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, I could just cheat and say a sandwich, because a sandwich could be literally anything. Like a chicken burger could be a sandwich, a chorizo bagel could be a sandwich, a pita bread with doner kebab meat in it could technically be a sandwich. My favourite dish, or my favourite thing, I think if I only could ever eat pizza again, that would be amazing, because pizza is super universal, and like, pizza isn't just gross, disgusting cheese and pepperoni everywhere. You can have some absolutely amazing pizzas that are just kind of like Neapolitan pizza that's just really simple, just tomato sauce, not even any cheese. Just for its versatility and how much I love it, that would be great. Other than that, if I could only eat one thing every day, salad. So I don't die. That'd be pretty damn good. Some kind of, yeah. Salad with some kind of like lean protein. I have to say, Victor, I would never, ever do my own kitchen business or anything like that. I've seen enough episodes of Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. I would never, ever do that because it's terrifying. And I know from working in the industry for such a long time that the margins that you make, oh, it's a spare chip, the margins that you make are absolutely non-existent, and so many new cooking businesses fail really, really quickly and bankrupt the owners, and you lose everything. To be successful in the industry, you need to have a lot of investment. You cannot do that from one person's savings, or even if I owned a house, even if I put my house up as collateral, it wouldn't work. It takes an awful lot of effort for restaurants to make any kind of money. The margins you operate on are so tight. You have to pay labor cost, you have VAT to pay, it's so much. So no, I wouldn't do that. I like cooking just for fun. And there are plenty of other ways you can monetize your cooking hobby as well. So the sauce is now coming together. It looks pretty brown, but it's actually more kind of red when you look at it. It's about the color of like marinara sauce, like bolognese sauce at the moment. So it's now kind of nicely homogenized. It's pretty runny. That's because of all the apple juice that we added. So we're just going to let that cook down and reduce over time. It's barely simmering. I could probably turn the heat up a tiny bit. We don't want it to burn. Oh dear. Ah dear. Yeah, but now oh, hi Billy, what's up? Thank you for joining me. But yeah, no, I wouldn't. I'd only cook for fun. I mean, if times ever get hard and I have to get a normal job again, then that's one thing I could do, but I really, really, really don't want to. Because especially now I'm older and I've learned to take less shit, I'd probably end up punching somebody within about 5 minutes if I worked another kitchen job, so that's probably a really bad idea. Anyway, so sliced potatoes are here. If we have a look now, the water is a little bit cloudy and a little bit foamy. That's just the starch from the potatoes, so we're just going to rinse that off under some cold water. So by keeping it underwater, the potatoes won't brown. Removing that excess starch will stop soggy potatoes. I have to say, Asda didn't do me too well on the shopping delivery. They gave me small ass ribs and small potatoes, but it's no biggie. Like if my French fries were a little bit longer, these are only little short boys. Just gonna give it a couple passes under the cold water until the water runs clear. Like with anything that you make, you always just want to rinse, like, you know, lentils, rice, you always want to just rinse off the starch and you'll get a better product. Cool, that's about done. Yeah, I know, I mean, it's a really nice idea, but having worked inside that industry, and I've worked closely with owners, I've worked for very small companies, so I've had very close relationships with people who own these businesses, and I know that they just don't make money, because when they've said to me, I can't pay you, James, I'm going to have to wait another 4 weeks before I pay you. Is that okay? And I'm like, fuck no. So yeah, I know how much the dream is not like the reality. Nah, I mean, just cooking for myself, cooking for my friends and people I care about, that's all I want to do now, cooking for fun. Oh dear. Yeah, I feel you on that one, Victor. That's been me.